What's up, T Squad? Today I'm going to be reacting to Dr. Heavenly and Carlos King interview with Love and Marriage Huntsville cast member Marquez Burnett, who is Trisha's husband. Now, I do want to preface that after this interview, Dr. Heavenly apparently said she was no longer going to review Love and Marriage Huntsville. I guess she'd been getting a lot of backlash or something from fans. You know how them crazy fans be. Y'all let me know the tea on that down below in the comment section, because y'all know I don't be knowing what's going on certain things, and this is one of those topics. But yeah, I can't wait to get into this interview, so let's get rocking and rolling.
To excuse me, agreeing to be a part of this show, a part of the storyline that your current wife has as relates to everything she has going on. Because at the end of the day, and I want the world to know this, you could say no. You could say, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to do it." You said yes, and we are still filming, and you're continuing to say yes. So I wanted you to hear from me that I appreciate you for doing the show and for telling the story of what happens with couples and families that isn't always peachy. So thank you for doing that. I know it's not easy. So Dr. Heavenly and I are going to ask you a few questions.
Well, I want to say something. I almost did not do the show. I want to clarify, because I'm here to be transparent, open, okay. and I'm very much. I feel like I know I've been portrayed in 5 minutes to basically. It seems that everyone has an opinion on my whole entire life. So, with that being said, when this opportunity to be on Love and Marriage was presented to me, it was presented to me in a whole different way, and it wasn't Love and Marriage. So for almost 2 months, I was not told that they were filming. I got a email asking for my daughter to have a release form to film, and she told me that it was a pilot for a dance show, which my daughter's a dancer.
Told you that.
Is into fashion. So, I decided. Trisha told me, she sent me the email saying, "Hey, can you do, I've been doing this, interview." And
that lady is a liar from the 90s, yo. I told you this lady is a lying, sneaky little biz naive. So she lied and told this man they were filming a dance show. And I did watch a little bit of their interview with Ken, and he's so dumb. He's so dumb. Talking about he trusts her and okay.
And I'm gonna be honest, we're gonna be transparent. The only reason why I did this show, because I was willing to do a cease and desist. I was willing to copyright names. Like I'm a pretty smart guy, and I also have background in entertainment. And I really am a behind the scenes type of person. I'm not a person who wants to put themselves out there. I understand what comes with this. I understand when you put yourself in a position where people can pick and they can choose things out of your life, that it can affect you, and it can affect multiple people around you, including my mother, my grandmother, all these other things. But I knew, and this is no call out to anybody in any production or anything, but the reason why I chose to do the show, because my son, after Trish told me that finally it was Love and Marriage, when I read the paper, like when I read that it was a release, then she said, "Hey, can you come in and talk about our divorce?" And I said, "How long y'all been filming?" She said, "For like, a few months." And I'm like, "Well, obviously y'all already have a portrayal, so I need to know what's really going on." So I went and met with Marcus, and me and Marcus, is the producer of the show, have very similar stories. So, and Marcus is the real reason why I decided to take a chance on it, because I told him, "Hey, I don't play on, this is my real life. It's reality TV, but in the end, it really is my reality, and I've always come from the beginning to be transparent and open and honest. And yes, I have my emotions, but I wear my emotions on my sleeves, but I'm not so emotional that I'm not aware and I'm just making irrational decisions." But one of the key reasons why is because my son said he was filming, and he said, "Dad, they keep asking me questions as if I'm going to change my answer, as if I don't talk to you." And that was the moment when I said, "Okay, I'm going to film," because clearly I don't know what's been said for 2 months. That's in December, January. By March is when I made the decision. So, but at this point, I'm here. It is what it is right now. It's very much still an ongoing situation, and I want to also be sensitive to the mother of my children. I want to come with respect, but I'm also not going to hold back. So whatever questions you have for me, I'm open, I'm willing, and I'm ready. And Dr. Heavenly, I know you got strong opinions. I'm ready.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I'm gonna say I only saw 7 minutes, so it means a lot that you were willing to come on. That just shows a lot of strength right there. But before we get started, tell us who Marquez is. What do you do? Where you from? Who is Marquez?
Okay, so Marquez is a 38-year-old, soon-to-be single man that loves his children, that has a wonderful father who's behind me, who passed away, who's watching over me. I'm in my 95-year-old grandmother's house, and she just prayed for me before I came on this interview. Marquez is a man of integrity. Marquez is a man of who is emotional because he knows that that I was given a second chance. So I had spinal meningitis when I was 3 years old. I had to learn all my functions, walk, talk, all over it again. I know that I'm a special person because my parents have raised me in a Christian household, in a loving household. My mom and father were never together, but they never let me know that they were never together. My mama told me the other day, she said, son, you didn't grow up with trauma. She ensured that I grew up, that I would become. She said, you're going to make a great husband. You like to rub on feet, massage, and cook and do all this. And so that's what I took into who I am and how I am. But right now, I'm in Atlanta. I have 15 years of corporate experience working in logistics for Lockheed Martin, a lot of these major companies doing military. I currently I'm in transition. I made a decision to leave my corporate job of 5 years at Bechtel about 3 months ago to pursue entertainment, the consultant. I have deep connections in entertainment industry. Hill Harper is one of my close friends. I have a lot of connections in Atlanta. And I want to clarify before we go on, that I moved to Atlanta because Atlanta is a land of opportunity, and it was also close to my family. So, but Marquez is really a good person.
You see how Carlos looked up when he said that he was really good friends with Hill Harper?
Person I think misunderstood right now because of what's being portrayed. And now that I know that I'm on reality TV, you have to be really specific and careful with the words that you choose.
Absolutely. And I think that's why you're here, to clear it up, Marquez, to clear it up. Because like I say, you got a bad edit. I'm serious. You just did.
Yeah.
That's why I want to clear it up. What do you think about the public input you've received from the show? What do you think about that? Like the public people, they just don't.
She said you got a bad edit. Carlos' face said, what? Look at his face. He ain't like that at all. This is what you get, honey. This is what you get. I like that despite this being Carlos' show, she ain't sugarcoating nothing. She telling how she feel. And this is funny. I can tell that behind the scenes after this, something probably happened between Heavenly and Carlos, because that comment alone, clutch my pearls.
Know you, right?
Yeah, I think Dr. Heavenly, like and Carlos, nobody knows us like the people that know us, right?
Right.
So we're the ones, I listen to you, Carlos, when you talk about we are the real superheroes, right? We are the real superheroes because we are putting ourselves in a position, not like an actor, right? We can do things where we can probably, embellish or do whatever, but this is our real life. People really want to go and see what you posted yesterday. Like they really want to know like who you with and all that. So, for me, I lost track of my thought. What was the question again? I'm sorry.
The question is, what do you think about the public input from the show? Yeah.
I really think that it's just misunderstood. I think that the edit portrayed it as if I have been gone for 6 years. I need to clarify, you guys.
Well, and I want to clarify things too. We don't edit badly.
No.
So no. I just want to say that because what we're not going to do is say things like bad edit, because that involves like integrity, manipulation, and intention. So obviously, and I want to be very honest, I'm gonna let you finish though. Trisha has been known to give bits and pieces of a story, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
We follow bits and pieces, right? So there's not anything production is doing because this isn't artificial intelligence. We don't put words in people's mouths and all those things. So, and what I would like for you to talk about more so, though, is the fact that we invited you here so that you're able to, of course, address things that you've been seeing. Obviously, I said on my own platform that when I cast Trisha, for example, I had no idea that Martell this situation.
Baby. Oh, this is messy. I told you he was offended. I told you he was offended by that statement. I don't think that Heavenly was trying to be malicious when she said that, when she said you got a bad edit, because you got to think about it. She comes from the perspective of talent. And that's what talent says. You know, I was a bad editor, or they didn't edit me right, or whatever. I don't think that she understood the impact of what her words were, but he was offended, honey. Oh, yeah. They got into it after this episode. That's why she said she ain't doing no more Love and Marriage Huntsville stuff. Let's continue. I don't even. Oh God, this is giving me secondhand embarrassment. Oh Lord.
When I cast Trisha, I had no idea that, you know, she was married to a whole nother man. And I'm the creator of the show. Right. And I'm the one who hired her. You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of things that have been said on the show because it's been said on the show. I agree. Address first. I'm sorry. Oh, no, I'm not saying you are either. No, I want to be.
I truly believe that for my specific episodes, it was my choice of words. I know when I said I left my family and I wasn't there for you, those were no one else. They didn't hear anything else. I watched the interview. They didn't hear anything else about how I was here to try to make this. And I understand that. So I never really blamed it on the edits. I know that the edits they make it salacious because they want people to talk. They want people to, so I never took it in a bad way. I just know that moving forward and as I am in this journey is just to be real, be more detailed and be specific and don't leave it open to where people can take it however they want.
Yeah, don't leave it open for interpretation. So exactly. Again, that's why you're here. So let's talk about the fact that your wife and Ken, okay, they both have said that you aren't in the kids' lives the way you should be. So that's what they said on this platform of right. What Heavenly and I have in addition to the show. So again, these are things they said on the show. These are things that they also said on this platform. Ken said last week that there was a trip to Florida, that you went to Florida to see your daughter's game and you actually missed your daughter's game. So what happened there? As an example of something that was said recently that I would like for you to... I was
gonna work it up to that. You don't went all the way there. Yes, that's
yeah, but right I want to start there as an example of there's things that have been said on the show in addition to this, and that was just the most recent example. And we could go back to where you were then, but I want to start there because that was more recent.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, I would like to say I've never left my children, and it's never been a gap in ever my relationship with my children and our lives. I actually just left from over there, spending time with him today. My son's about to go see his girlfriend. We have conversations, we talk. There's way deeper issues when it comes to Ken and our relationship. There's things that occurred when I was still married. Well, I'm still married, but there were things before I even decided to leave. Okay, so they've had a relationship and established one years before I even decided to separate myself from the marital home. So I think people should be asking, how did they get together? How did Ken and Trish end up in the same household? I think they should talk about. He did
ask that. Trish said y'all were done. She said y'all were done.
Yeah, well, that's not true. And one thing about me, I keep receipts, and I'm telling you one thing about me, I'm very detailed. And when I used to tell Trish things, she would always act and deflect as if she didn't know what I was talking about. So
one thing that I'm gonna say is I believe him on that they were still together in a relationship in the same household when she was dealing with Ken from the beginning. And you're not gonna tell me once again that when he officially left the household and moved to Atlanta, her and Ken got to officially together and she cheated on that man with Martell. She did. She did. 1000%. 1000% she cheated.
when I want people to understand, me and Trish have been together since high school. I'm 38, I'll be 39 years old. We were together from the age of 17 years old to I left at 34 years old. Okay? So
how old were you two when y'all got married?
I was 19, she was 18. My son was born when she was 19. Trish was living with me in high school. I would take her to class and I was living in my own apartment. Trish and I, my father and my family have we literally have my father and my family's support has been there just as much as her family when they were there. But then when they passed away, my family really stepped up. So we're all and I'm gonna be honest, I know Trish more than anybody, and I promise you, whether Ken's there or the next guy is there, I'ma always be there for her. No matter what, despite this TV show, despite all of this, I think there was always a lack of communication, a lack of respect, a lack of accountability, and I was that. I truly, honestly know in my heart, I was that man that was really trying at a young age that never, ever they told me don't get married, but I knew that was the right thing to do. I knew
she
it
was pregnant. She was pregnant. That's why you got married.
Yeah. And my son was not an accident. We went to each other's prom. When I decided that, I said, okay, I want to have a baby, and I want to have mind you, I don't want to tell you this was pre-social media. This was before Facebook came out. I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I grew up in the church. We actually met. And we talked about the Bible. That's what made me want to be with Trish, because I knew she came from a very difficult background. And I grew up in the church. So I felt like we was reading the Bible together. And I felt like, man, this might be so. But I'm also, my mindset is also 17 years old, 18. I don't know what's to come in the future. I don't know all the challenges. I don't know, the fact that the world is about to connect in a way that you can literally have a relationship with anybody you want in the world, and you can pick and choose. And I think that's what's wrong and why marriage is not there, because we have too many options. At that moment in time, I chose her, right? And I stuck with it for years, and I really, really, really was trying, my best. And I think because of the lack of communication, and it was like pulling teeth from her, honestly, Dr. Heavenly, and it was like pulling teeth. And eventually, as a man, it wears on you, because I'm a Libra. I'm very much a loving, affectionate, passionate. She's an Aquarius. She comes from a military family.
Oh,
my family gave hugs.
Explains it all. She an Aquarius. Oh God. Let me tell y'all something. That is one zodiac sign that I will never ever in life fuck with again. Is an Aquarius. I've dated 2 Aquarius men, and both of them were horrible. My baby daddy and my ex. Aquarius, it explains her to a T. She's so aloof. She's a liar. She is manipulative. It explains it all. Clarissa explains it all, honey.
My grandma's in there right now. I introduced her. She's 95 years old. She's going to pray for you right now. Not to talk bad on her family, but Trish didn't necessarily come from that. Like my mama said, you didn't come from trauma, son. And I thought the thing she was going through in the conversations and the conflict was cool. And I thought maybe I could be around this because I didn't grow up like that. And I also felt sorry for her. And then I also felt like we can work through this and we can grow through this. But then after years and years, and I want to tell you, for 17 years, I never left that house for one day. When I left, I never spent any time outside of the house for any time.
How old were you when you decided to leave the house though and move to Atlanta?
Okay. Let's clear up the timeline, because I think the timeline is very much. So me and Trish, we got married May 19th, 2006. Okay, May 19th, 2006. So we would have been on our I think 18-year anniversary this past May. Married happily, growing up together. During I would say almost a 10-year stretch, there was, you know, when you're in that puppy love, it's kind of like you still figuring it out, right? Then you kind of like realize who you're dealing with. Then it's kind of like, all right, the trauma. Then you're like, okay, well, I didn't grow up like this. How do, you know, then it's conflict. Then it's like, all right, let's work towards this. Then you suggest counseling. You do all these things. I felt like I know I did the things that I was taught to do in order to make sure that the marriage was successful. But I think because there was a lot of unhealed trauma, and I think because she wasn't necessarily open to it, that it affected me to where I started to shut down, to where it was like, when I say pulling teeth and talking to a wall, y'all have to know, like, as a man, like, when me and a guy get into it and he not listening, what's gonna happen? We gonna fight, right? But when you're dealing with a woman and you know that she has issues, and you're also aware that she has issues, and you're trying to be soft, but how much time is a man supposed to give a woman who is broken? And I'm still also trying to grow up and learn who I am. And then I'm also being projected to be a certain man, which is her father. My father, rest in peace, who's behind me, you know, I come from a long lineage of music industry. My father was a pioneer in the music industry. Her father was a hardworking, strong man that was in the military who loved to cut grass and change tires and brakes and stuff. You know, I decided, hey, why I can't pay my boy to cut our grass? She would look at me as if that's not being a man. I was being dictated as who a man was supposed to be from that age of 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. We can go on until it gets to a point where you break, right? And they want to say, you know, I've seen where she said I wasn't there for her. The way, and that's why my words, you have to be careful with your words. I was trying to take accountability, saying I wasn't there for her how I should have been. But there was also underlying issues that we never addressed, that could never be resolved, which in turn did not allow me to even want to come home. So if I was out the house, I was at my friend's house complaining about how much I hate my life, and I'm in my 20s. So like, what is a man supposed to do? And I want people to take this story, and I want to bring the conversation back to your question earlier, Dr. Heavenly. What is the perception? How do I feel? I think most of the comments have been women led, and I think a lot of these women have been hurt and see me, and they see that 7-minute clip as someone who is their baby father or their ex-husband, when that is not the case. I am the exact opposite, and I do feel strongly about that.
I agree with you 100%. I apologize, Carlos. I didn't mean bad edit, but what I was trying to say per se was you never really got to tell your story. Your story was so short and so I mean, you didn't get to say the whole thing, because in my mind, and I watched it, it looked like the trauma that Trish went through was you. I never heard it was her family. Or am I missing something, Carlos? Because when I watch it,
no, it was
the
always
trauma that the world believes.
Yeah. No, the thing is this. Trisha told her sister and the other ladies that the trauma had to do with, and Marquez knows this, was the passing of her parents and her feeling like he wasn't there for her.
Let's be clear. Trisha had trauma way before.
Y'all, the energy with Carlos after that statement, that the bad edit statement, he has shut down. He has an attitude. There is tension all in his body. His mannerisms are totally different. Like, he has mentally shut down at this point. And like I said, I don't think that she meant it no kind of way, but you can tell that she sees that he's mad. That's why she just apologized. I think with a lot of stuff that Marquez is saying, I think that there's a lot of validity in what he's saying. Just think about how we feel as viewers with Trisha, where we are how many episodes in, and we're just not getting little crumbs of what her life is. It's been like pulling teeth for us, the viewers. So just imagine being her husband and having to deal with that. Oh, hell no. Yeah, it does seem like she comes from trauma, and it's more than the passing of her parents. It seems like the way that she grew up, like she said. And like, it is only but so much a person can do when you're trying to help somebody and they're not willing to really do the work on themselves to change, because obviously nothing has changed with her. The same stuff that she was doing with him is the same stuff she doing with Ken. Not being open, not talking, having an attitude. This is her. You know what I'm saying? And I think another thing that Carlos is mad about in this interview, I peep Marquez. He keep on putting it out there that he's in the industry, who his father is. You see a plaque behind him. That's a plaque from the industry. You're not going to be able to easily play him and manipulate him. He's not going to, Carlos can't just narrate this conversation and lead it in the directions that he wants it to go to, because this dude ain't green.
Before I met her, okay? And I'm not gonna go into detail about people's lives, because if I were to sit here and really break it down, then I think people would clearly understand. But that's not what we're here for. I think ultimately my goal and my purpose of coming on the show was to establish the relationship that I already had, but build it stronger, because there were things that negatively impacted me that made me to where I wasn't able to remove those emotions and the traumas from Ken, her, and all this to necessarily like be there every single day, right? Because I had to figure out, how am I going to get this income to do the things that I can do for them? But I never once have left my children. And I can tell you, we can go through text. I don't even have to do all that, but we can go through the messages and we can call my kids right now and they'll let you know that your dad is, and that's what I said. My son felt as if the questions that were being asked were not fair. And he didn't feel like, he said, Dad, I talk to you all the time. My son, and I'm gonna let's talk about this. The reason why I speak about my daughter so much and not as much as my son, because my son has never wavered. My son was 14. He decided, he said that I'm always be for you. Here for
a second. I want to be able to make sure you say succinctly the timeline of you leaving, and because you're saying leaving, and what I don't want, if I edited this, for you to say it. So I want to make sure you clear the air, okay? So you told us you got married May 19th, 2006, that you was in a marriage with Trisha.
He is pissed. He is pissed. Wow. That wasn't necessary. That comment was not necessary. Was not necessary at all. It's giving a hit dog a holler. Heavenly cool. But you can tell, I know people and I can read people very well. Heavily thinking in her head, yeah, I'm done. Especially after that comment. After that comment, that's probably when she was in her head like, I ain't reviewing this shit no more. I ain't got time for this. I don't have to. I got my own thing going on. I was doing this separately in the beginning. This is why I say you can't work with everybody and you shouldn't work with everybody. If you got something going on that's successful on your own, keep it that way. Because stuff like this will happen and ruin friendships, ruin relationships, business relationships, or whatever. He taking offense because these are the statements that a lot of people have made about him. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, he's able to push conversations and interviews in ways with his other cast members. He can't do that with Marquez. And that's why he's telling you need to stick with the sideline. You need to stick with the sideline. He didn't want to talk about what their son was saying about how the producers kept on asking him the same questions over and over again, trying to paint this man as a bad father. He was like, he didn't want to get into that. And I'm not going to even sit up here and crucify Carlos, because this is the name of the game when you're a producer in reality television. Just like any producer on a Love and Hip Hop or Housewives, they're all manipulative. They are all vultures. They're all going to use you as much as they can to get any juicy drama, toxicity out of you to make and cause drama for their shows and in order to get ratings. It's just the name of the game. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I feel like maybe Carlos would probably feel a lot more comfortable if he would just embrace that. Because it's a part of his job, unfortunately. It's just a part of his job.
Where it's like pulling teeth from her. Where how much can a man take, right? There's only so much a man can take, right? If he's trying to get information out of his wife and he's not getting it. So what year did you leave the house to move to another state?
All right. Well, I got to go back, but I know what you're saying now. You want me to give the timeline?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I made the decision to leave the marital situation, it was October 2020. Okay, so October 2020. This is during COVID. Her sister died in July. Our anniversary was in May. Her sister died in July. I decided to leave October 2020. When I say leave, I decided to move upstairs. I moved to my daughter's room for 9 months. So I think it was like June or July of 2021, or June or July 2021, I got an apartment 5 minutes away. So I could make sure that I could come to the house, take him to school, do all, I felt like I had to remove myself from the house because it was weird. My kids was like, Dad's upstairs and all that, but I always stayed there every night. I didn't like stay away. Then there was an altercation that occurred once I found out that she was dealing with Ken, and I was never notified that they were around my kids. There was an altercation that I don't want to talk about. I've discussed it on the show. Apparently it is what it is. This is our first interaction, but I want y'all to know that 5 years prior, we had words on the phone where, and he also was doing the chocolate emojis and he was in the DMs. And this was before I decided to leave. So me and him actually had a phone conversation while I was married and not even thinking about leaving, where he told me to check my woman, because first he tried to deny. He was like, oh yeah, I see her in the gym. Trish started working out in 2017 and got into the gym 2017, 18, 19. But I decided to move to Atlanta in October of 2021. 2021, 22, October 22, 23. No, October 2022. So I stayed in.
She just left the interview? What the fuck is going on? What am I watching here? What am I watching? And did y'all see Carlos' face? Hold on, let me rewind it. Hold on. What in the fuck is going on?
Me and him actually had a phone conversation while I was married and not even thinking about leaving, where he told me to check my woman, because first he tried to deny. He was like, oh yeah, I see her in the gym. Trish started working out in 2017 and got into the gym 2017, 18, 19. But I decided to move to Atlanta.
You see, he had a little smirk on his face. This is cringy. Like, I am dying over here, y'all. Not in a good way. Like, I cannot watch stuff like this. Like, this is so, oh my God, this is crazy. Where'd Heavenly go? Like, what just happened?
In October of 2021. 2021, 22, October 22, 23. No, October 2022. So I stayed in that house for almost a year, for like a year at the house around the corner in Madison. And then I decided to move to Atlanta because of the fact that it was close. Honestly, I moved to Atlanta because it was close to my family. Y'all have to know that my grandma's here, my dad's here, my mom's here, my brother's here, my nephews are here, my kids are here. So the idea of moving to Atlanta was actually a perfect opportunity to stay 45-minute flight away, to stay a 3-hour drive away, because if anything happens, I can get there in a heartbeat. I had opportunities to live in Dallas. I had opportunities to live in DC, California, but I know that Atlanta, for one, was close, but it was also a land of opportunity for the things that I've always wanted to do, which is following my father's footsteps and his legacy in this entertainment industry. So 2022, I was in Atlanta. I've been there, but I've also made plenty of flights, and I've also drove plenty of times to come back and see my kids. And it's never really changed. I think because of the trauma and pulling up to certain events and knowing that he's going to be there, or pulling up to the house and knowing that car is going to be there, and knowing that what happened is still a trigger for me, it eventually led me to lessen myself from coming over there. And then it would be times where I would want to come get him and she would make excuses. Oh, she got dance, or Xavier, or this or this. So eventually I'm in town specifically here to see them, and she makes it to where it's not easy for me to see them. But the excuse is always dance. It's never, hey, you going with your daddy. It's like, hey, she got other stuff to do. So like,
I want to be very clear here so we don't get confused, right? What year did Ken start seeing Trish, and what year y'all were still together? Y'all were in separate rooms at that point? Because she's making it seem like y'all were over, and it took 5 years for the divorce, but her and Ken have only been talking for 2.
No, that's not true. I can't tell you when they physically met each other, but I can video verify when I first physically saw that they met each other.
When was that?
That was like early October 20. I have a video. It doesn't matter. It was in 2022. I would say their first interaction was around 2018, 2019 with the chocolate emojis in the gym and the conversation, right? And the text message on the phone where he said he wanted to perform oral sex on her as a married, and I'm married, and it was.
Wait a minute, what? Trisha is a whore. She is and a liar, bro. That girl, wow.
We weren't like having no issues.
That was 2018.
That was probably like 2018, 2019, because there's a new gym that opened up. Because when I left Baltimore to go take a high paying job, Trish got into the gym. Her family member died. She said, alive at 55, I want to be in the gym. She fell in love with the gym so much that she probably fell out of love with me. Trish used to tell me, don't work out. Because when she started working out, I used to let's work out together. I play sports football. Let me be your trainer. Let me be your inspiration. She no, I love the way you look. And I got the dad bod, right? And eventually I found out that, she already had her eyes on Ken. She used to tell me different signals of how she liked chocolate men and how she loved muscles. And then when I went through her phone towards the end of our marriage, she actually told him that you have the husband body goals of my dreams. So these are the things that so let's be clear. When they physically talk to each other, who knows? I don't know. But I'm gonna tell you what, I know when I first saw that they were who she was dealing with, and let's be clear, I always was okay with her moving on. I want her to move on. Who doesn't want your?
I want to ask that Marquez, when you saw those text messages and the chocolate emojis and all that, were you and Trisha still intimate though?
Absolutely. We were married. We're married.
I know you were married, but you talked about
it wasn't the separation.
What are they not getting? They were still together in a relationship, very much still together when she met Ken, and he was sending her emojis and saying he wanted to eat her out. They were together, and then she was lying to him saying, "Oh, it ain't nothing like that. That's just my friend from the gym." And then things got worse between them. They separated. He moved upstairs for 9 months, and then he moved out and got a place 5 minutes away. Are they slow?
Part, right? I think this is what people need to understand. When I separated myself, right, that allowed her to have the situations with the Martells and these other guys that I don't know about. Because you got to understand, Trish comes from a family of secrets. They're not going to tell you nothing. We're going to take it to the grave. Y'all don't understand. Women, and it's not, like I said, I don't want to get into all of that, but I'm telling you, when you come from a family where talking is too much, you're not going to say nothing. So who knows when they actually met? But I know when I physically saw them, and I know when she decided to tell me that they were together, and then I know how he ended up moving in the house with my children. Y'all should be asking him that. What you should be asking.
Well, tell us, because my whole thing is they telling the story
was
and
in
they
a
making
whole
you
nother
look a certain
relationship.
kind of way, but you need to speak. Yeah.
Ken was in a relationship. All right, let's be clear. I never knew this, right? Okay, all right. Hey, all right, Dr. We're going to spill the tea today. Okay, so, and I want to say this, guys, and I want to be clear, right? And when we're done, I want y'all to know that it comes back to, I want the relationship with my children to be as solid as it's always been, as it was, but I want it to be even stronger. And I do want to see Trish be happy and whoever she's with, whether it's Ken or somebody else. I want y'all to be clear. But the first time, outside of those first few years where I realized who he was, I never met him, never seen him before. When I saw the text messages, I called him. We had those exchange words. I'm telling her, she's like, oh, well, it's just my friend. That's my homeboy. But I'm telling her, you can't have any homeboys. We've been together. If he's your homeboy, he's my homeboy. So, but this secrecy of, hey, he's just my friend. He's just somebody who I look up to in the gym. He's just somebody I talk to. That developed. Now, when I separated myself from the situation, I felt like he knew, boom. Ken is infatuated with Trish. Trish told me that, why I like him or I love him because he worshipped the ground I walk on. And it's showing on TV. And he does. But the thing is, because think about it. He's living with a married man trying to take care of other people's children who has an active father. I'm not against a man who steps up, right? I think he likes to use the word provider. I think they like to use money. I think that, but that's one thing is, if Ken stepped away today or never stepped in the picture, my kids' lifestyle would not have changed. Their lifestyle has not changed. I'm not
So
a
you're
bum.
saying you were contributing to the household the whole time, even when you were
Absolutely.
upstairs, you were
And
contributing
I was
to the
paying
household.
half the rent for a house I wasn't in. My friends were like, "Why are you paying half the rent on a house you're not even in for over a year? Why are you doing this? Why?" If Trish put me on child support, she would get less money than what I was giving her. I never wanted to go through the course because we have a bond, we have a relationship. I didn't look at her as an enemy. I'm not, even though we didn't necessarily work out, I'm not looking at it like, damn, I want her to go through some shit. Like, I feel for her right now because she's
She
still
said she was
unhealed.
paying your bills. She said even when you left, she was paying your bills because she said she didn't want to. She want to hold up money from. They making you look like a deadbeat, dude. I'm just speaking on what they say.
You got to think they're in a position where they're taking risks, and they're in a position where Ken is in a position now that he almost can't fail. He's going to look like, a simp, or he's going to look like whatever, this we talk about this alpha male and all this, but you speaking on another man's kid on a podcast, and then you also are with a married woman, and you're okay with not trying to figure out why she's not trying to divorce you.
Why do you think it took so long for you guys to even get the papers drawn? Do you think Trish is still in love with you?
I haven't talked about this with her. You got to understand Trish's mindset, which she always told me, I'm not going to be the one to divorce. I think for her, if she's living in an adulterous situation and she's with a man, it don't look good for her to be filing divorce on me. She didn't want, and I also know that we never got a chance to talk about it. My idea was not to just leave and be like, I'm done. I know that we have been together since we were 17 years old, and I can count on my hands how many times we were away from each other, and it wasn't because of an argument. I can count. I promise you, it wasn't because of argument. And eventually, it's like, you gotta choose yourself, and you gotta sacrifice in order for the greater good. And I think that right now, it was a very tough decision, but it has been the best decision for us all involved. And I want to see it progress that way. But we have a lot of obstacles and hurdles right now that we're still currently dealing with.
Do you
So
think
to be crystal clear, Marquez, I want to get this point out. To be crystal clear, the reason that you all broke up was because Ken was calling your girl. Ken was texting your girl. Ken was saying oral sex with your girl, the chocolate emoji.
No.
Was that the reason that you all fell apart?
No, not at all. The issues was, and that's why I'm saying I'm having a hard time to distinguish between the Ken situation, because he's currently living there, and what has created that rift between my children. Not about the relationship, because it's never like we've dealt with a bunch of infidelity and all that. There was just years and years of not being able to communicate effectively, to where I felt unheard, and I felt like a ghost in my own house. I felt almost dead inside. I used to sit and watch the ceiling fan turn and cry, and I'm in my 30s, in my mid 20s, like wondering, like, is this how my life's supposed to end? I felt like I was living to die, because I always knew that I really did. And it's no knock on Trish. Let's be clear. Trish I ain't never met nobody like her. She's very much, she's very strong, very independent. She's loyal.
Is she?
But I don't think we were compatible. I know we weren't compatible, as I'm in my 38-year-old mindset and having opportunities to meet other women in my life, and knowing the things that I offer and bring to the table, that we just weren't compatible. And right now, I really just want to be her friend and help her heal, so that way we can continue to, raise our daughter for these last, 7 years of her schooling, and then help my son.
Are you still in love with Trish?
I have so much love for her, but not in love in a way where it's physical or attractive. Not even. The day that I left, I always wondered when the last time we would have sex. And the last time we had sex, it wasn't what it was. And so I knew that was it. And from that day forward, me and Trish have not had any sexual intercourse. I haven't even.
You left in 2020.
When I say, let's be clear, because the word left, I don't know what other word, Dr. Heavenly, what other word should I use besides left? Because clearly that word.
When were y'all pulled apart?
Can I say separated? I separated myself from the marital situation where I moved upstairs in October 2020. When I moved into the house around the corner was in June or July of 2021, when I decided to move to Atlanta after I found out. So the situation before Ken arrived was it was jolly. I'm coming to the house, cooking her favorite meals. I'm like picking the kids up for school. She's like, hey, can you watch the kids while I go out of town? And I'm telling you, the first time that I found out who she was even dating was because I helped her pay $5,000 to move into a brand new house around the corner. And my daughter said, hey, Daddy, we got a Ring doorbell camera. We've never had one. So I'm looking at the Ring doorbell camera and who has the key code to the house that I just paid $5,000 for, because I was traveling. I want to be clear. When I started working, I was traveling to Charleston, South Carolina, Houston. I had a high level corporate job where I had to fly in and work with these corporations, and I would be back in Huntsville on the weekends. So also being in Atlanta cut down on their flights. But my daughter says, we got a Ring doorbell camera. I'm looking at the Ring doorbell camera, and at 12:15, Trish is coming in. This is the night before I came there. So Thursday night is when Friday they're supposed to move in. Thursday night they had moved everything in. The kids are at the old house in the same neighborhood. 12:15, Trish comes in, Ring doorbell camera. 12:37, Ken walks up, boop, 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 boop. Got the key code before I do. And that was the first time I ever knew who she was talking to. I asked her, I said, Trish, I showed it to her right away. She said, mind you, she's out of town with her friends. She's out of town with her friends, allegedly. And she says, oh, we just had a meeting about the gym. I said at 12:37, I got the video on my phone right now, and I'm not going to be messy, but I have it on my.
I hear you, baby, because she had a meeting with Martell at the gym about the gym.
And she had a meeting with Martell, and I sat out and I heard about the meeting with Martell, and I literally walked in. I waited for 30 minutes to make sure I was hearing what I heard, and I walked in and I told her, you're crazy, because why would you put herself in a situation where Martell is dealing with all of this? And I swear I'm not even gonna swear, I promise you, the very next day I went to the courthouse and I ran into Melody filing for divorce.
So they were dating before Melody. They were dealing with each other while Melody and Martell were married. That's what you're saying?
I mean, I don't know what they were doing. I just know that there was conversations, and I know that whatever it was, I wasn't physically there to say whether she had sex with him or not. So I'm not gonna sit here and say she had sex with him. But if she's saying she went to his house, and if Martell is saying,
I knew it, and this is what I said episodes back when it was starting to come out. And she said that she was talking to Martell about them getting a divorce and this, that, and the third. And I was like, Melody said that she didn't leave him until like March of 2020. And I was like, well, either they messed around before she left that house, or it was literally right after, and he just confirmed it. That bitch is a hoe. It be them quiet ones.
And she came there a couple times. I don't know about y'all, but if I'm going through some stuff and you going through some stuff and you come to the house, I mean, we probably not making it. Yeah, we not making it to the gym. So, but I'm not. I wasn't there, so I can't say.
Okay, so Marquez, I want to go back to the question: what happened in Florida and said you didn't show up to your daughter's game?
Let's talk about that. So let's be clear. My daughter is a dancer. She's a phenomenal dancer. I made sure, when she was little, I used to put her on my lap and we would watch watch YouTube, and I would just, dance was my thing. I'm like, I want her to be a dancer. I think this was in 2022, I think. This is when they were kind of finally officially was like, okay, we're together.
Right.
Well, let's just talk about this real quick before we finish this up. He paid $5,000 on her a house. They weren't even together anymore. Technically, they were separated. And she dealing with Ken, but not telling him that they together. Give Ken the passcode to the Ring cam and all of this type of stuff. And Ken just felt, maybe she's a liar. So maybe she was lying to Ken, telling him something totally different than what it was. But regardless, you still knew that lady was married and you didn't have no problem dealing with her. So Ken, just as trifling as she is, I don't feel sorry for him at all. You get them, you lose them how you get them. So the fact that she messed around with Martell on him is not surprising nor shocking. And she's going to make him look like an idiot. And that's what he deserves, because he ain't had no business fooling with somebody that was married anyway. Regardless of what she telling you, she still was married. So you shouldn't even participated or anything. So he trifling, she trifling. Ugh.
But actually, before that, she said, "Hey, I'm going to Florida. Zaria has this national competition with Rebel. You want to go half on this house?" I'm like, "Sure, let's go half on the house. Be on some family shit, even some family stuff, even though we're not together. But I want to be, those are the moments that we always had. We've always went on big trips and family trips and all that. So I wanted some sense of normalcy." So she said, "Hey, go half on the house. On half on the house." I said, "Okay, no problem. I'll give it to you." 3 days before it was time to give her the money, she said, "Hey, don't worry about it. The house is paid for." And I'm like, "Paid for? Like, by who?" And she was like, "Well, my friend paid for it. Ken's coming." So I'm like, "So you telling me this guy's coming, but so now we don't want me to stay in the house." So I had to get separate accommodations. And one thing that really, really hurt me about this situation, which is ironic that he brought it up, is that the year before the year that me and my family were still, a cohesive unit, we went to Disney World. And we did all the parks, and my son said, "Dad, the only thing I want to do is Universal Studios again." And my ex knew it, and everybody knew it. And I tell you, I got there the day after, and they had already took my son to Universal Studios. So when it comes time to my daughter has her event, she gives me these times. But the reason why I missed the event is because she gave me the wrong time.
Who gave you the wrong time?
Trisha gave me the wrong time. And then you got to think, this is a recital. Carlos, recital only lasts 5 minutes. So you can say I was fast, but I'm gonna tell you one thing. I was there, bro. I was there. And bro, even before that, you can say, "Hey, he missed the recital." But what about all the other recitals? What about all the other stuff before that? Like, I don't understand where this man or these people can inject themselves in a situation where I was a married father who cut umbilical cords. I have all of their memorabilia. My children are the only thing that matter to me. And yes, I'm emotional, but I'm telling you, I would rather cry on the outside than be crying in a jail cell because I was ready to crash out. And I need people to understand that.
No, listen, and that's the reason. Listen, Marquez, one thing I want you to understand, not saying you don't, but one thing I want you to understand is we know that is what you said earlier, how I call you reality stars, the superheroes of the industry, because you're living your real life, right? And oftentimes you don't have a platform of this magnitude because it's a very mainstream platform to like it's a lot of eyeballs to express yourself. And it's not every day that, Heavenly and I talk to somebody who technically is not a cast member, but there has been so much conversation about you that Heavenly and I both wanted you to have the opportunity to clear the air and talk about your truth without any judgment, right? Because it's one thing Heavenly and I just said before you got on. Listen, I just met you, Trisha and Ken, so I'm not here to talk about where you lying. I don't know any of those things, and neither does Heavenly. But we wanted to offer you the floor to address it because you are a big part of the conversation. And listen, you're a Libra, I'm a Libra. We are emotional people, right? And I love seeing you cry because it shows that you have the ability to feel emotion. And what scares me about most men is when they don't cry because they do other things. When they bottle up their emotion, they take it out on other things that they should not be taking it out on. So I think what you're doing is beautiful in terms of, you showing emotion. And in terms of whether or not Trisha gave the wrong time by mistake on purpose, I'm not here to address
this.
But
I never asked to be on TV. I think y'all should be looking into the people who want to be on TV.
Absolutely, and I said this on my last live.
People gonna say whatever they need to say, and they're gonna stick by it. I'm here. I have nothing to lose. I'm here. I'm only here because I told you, but at the end of the day, Carlos, I want to create more conversation. I want to say this. Where are all the comments from the men? I question can we get men in these comments? Can I get someone who can objectively, from a male's perspective, Dr. Heavenly, I would love to know what your husband's thoughts would be on this scenario, and then Dr. Heavenly, how would he feel if someone was in your inbox or putting dentistry tools and tooths under your IG, and
I
you know
like
what I'm saying,
living.
saying, hey,
I
teach
like
me
living.
how to
I think that Damon would have fought you, whoever was doing it. I think he would have fought to death about
so
his
I
woman. He
asked that
just
y'all
would have.
give
And I
me,
know that ain't the right shit to say on the
but it's
thing.
true.
Right.
I'm gonna crash out. And I'm
Right.
still, and listen, I understand the value of like my life and my children's life, and nobody wins. But I'm telling you, on a day-to-day basis, man, there are those moments where crashing out is like an option.
No, and listen, obviously, reality TV is watched largely by women. So the thing is this: a lot of men, Marquez, it is what it is. They're not going to be on YouTube. It is.
It's the children and
we need
it's
our
women.
own. We need our own show, Carlos. We need to do a show called.
Oh, you mentioned me something.
Listen.
I'm telling you what's needed. I'm telling you the conversation that needs to be had
For a black man, real black, yeah, and what they go
we
through.
don't
with
have
their
nobody
emotions.
to talk to.
Well, no, but Marquez.
We'll talk about it later.
First, you're funny. I like you. Are you October, Libra, September?
October 2nd, 1985. I'm an 80s baby.
I'm October 2nd.
Wow, y'all.
Shout out to you, Carlos. So now you really know how I feel. We gonna
I
talk.
just want to make this one point. I just want to make this one point right quick. There are always three sides to every story, Marquez. And my whole thing is I'm learning from this experience right here because I already had in my mind what kind of ninja you were. You know what I'm saying? Based on the conversations that they were having and that $400 for the divorce, I was like,
you got to talk about that though, Heavenly. Heavenly, ask about that.
Hold on. Let's come on.
No,
come on.
That's what the people said. So my point.
Those moments where crashing out is like an option.
No, and listen, obviously, reality TV is watched largely by women. So the thing is, September.
October 2nd, 1985. I'm an 80s baby.
I'm October 2nd.
Wow, y'all.
Shout out to you, Carlos. So now you really know how I feel. We gonna talk.
I just want to make this one point. I just want to make this one point right quick. There are always three sides to every story, Marquez. And my whole thing is I'm learning from this experience right here because I already had in my mind what kind of ninja you were. You know what I'm saying? Based on the conversations that they were having and that $400 for the divorce, I was like,
you got to talk about that though, Heavenly. Heavenly, ask about that.
Hold on. Let's come on.
No,
come on.
That's what the people said. So my point is this. You are not a cast member, so you get the short end of the stick. They get green screens. They get all this time to explain their side. That's why I thank Carlos for giving you this opportunity to speak.
Man, I thank
because
you too.
I'm just watching. I don't know shit. I'm just watching what everybody in the world is watching and giving my honest opinion. But you don't have the opportunity to give your whole story. Like I would have never known based on what Ken said. They were not even talking. They were just talking about the gym. He never said about nothing about no oral sex. It was just a whole bunch.
Stop playing. Of course he's gonna say that. But hey, Dr. Heavenly,
talk about the $400, Marcus, that you wanted her to pay half of.
Now you know you've been with somebody for a long time. You know good and well it was a joke. Stop. Y'all
I didn't get it as a joke.
It was such a joke. You can look at my face. $400. You think I'm gonna let a divorce hoe? And I would say go half because I go half on everything. Trish, you want half? Okay, let's go half on the divorce then. And it was a joke. And
thank you for your explanation because again, I'm gonna say when you said it was cutting something else, and I took it as damn, dude, you can't even pay for the divorce.
Well, let's not let the money situation and this provider situation cloud your judgment of who I am and my character.
No, it was the icing on the cake after
it was a
not
joke.
seeing your kids for 5 years. I know.
I'm learning now. Hey, I gotta be careful.
I'm just watching. I don't see the whole thing. I'm talking about the clips that we saw on TV. Look like you were not there for your kids. You did not show up. And honestly, I was going to ask you the question, was there some type of other thing that makes you have more of a priority rather than your family? You know what I'm saying? Anything you struggle with to keep you from your family, because that's how they made it seem. Like you came down there, you did all this, and then you did not show up after coming all the way there, being 7 minutes away, you still missed the recital. That's the way they're making it look.
My children are my number one priority, and they've always been from the day one. But I also know that there are times out here, like, what do y'all expect? Am I supposed to just... So if she tells me 2 weeks before that there's a recital and I'm out here trying to figure out how I'm out here making income, or I'm out here have a job, or I'm out here having anything that made me miss an opportunity, was definitely an opportunity to make income and provide for them. Or it was a last minute situation where I wasn't given enough heads up. Because you gotta think, dance is expensive, and my daughter goes on 5, 6 dance recitals and all of that, flights and all of that. But you need to be able to plan. I'm not broke by any means, but I'm also not in the position now where I'm headed to and where I expect myself to be based on the things that I'm doing now. But nothing has ever kept me from being there. I told you, the time was given wrong, and
Wow.
I'm sorry I missed that 5-minute dance recital, but I was there. I was in Florida. I spent time with him. I did everything that I could do with the feelings of knowing that this man is over here sleeping in the house that she just told me to go have for him.
Wow.
What would you like to see? Okay, at the end of the day, when it comes to this soon to be blended family from a legal standpoint, what you guys?
All I got to say is he better be at the reunion, and I want to see all of the receipts. I want to see the ring cam footage. I want to see the DMs and everything, because Ken and Trisha are saying they were just friends. It wasn't nothing and all that. I need for him to show all of the proof at the reunion, or that needs to be filmed for the second half of this season that they're filming right now. We need to see those receipts ASAP.
Finalize divorce. Ken has said on our show, me and Heavenly show, that he has all intentions of proposing to her and marrying her. So at some point, you guys would be a legal blended family. Where would you like to see things end up between you and Ken?
I don't think Ken gonna be here that long, to be honest. But
he said he would be. He said he's never leaving. That's what he said.
Well, I'm gonna tell you one thing. I watched the interview, and for 17 years, I went through the same stuff, and I never once left that household. So if you leave for 3 days, and you only been there 2 years, good luck, buddy.
That's what I said on my rebuttal. I said,
I mean, not one lie's been spoken, because if Martell give her the go ahead, okay, that's all I'm saying.
Hey,
dude, you've been out
Dr.
2
Heavenly.
years, dude. You don't even know this chick. You don't even know her. How could you say that? I've been with my husband 30 years. I can't say what tomorrow may bring. I can't say.
I think Ken is trying to realize what he's up against. I think Ken is also realized he's getting his head big because he's getting these inbox and these DMs and he's feeling like his worth. But I'm telling you, if you can't handle 2 years with Trish and you leave the state for 3 days, good luck.
It's about to get worse. Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to be, but back to your question, hypothetically, if it were to be everything that it should be, I would ideally love to have a cordial relationship, a non-hostile situation where there's boundaries set and where there's communication, effective communication, and an opportunity to break bread with him and figure out who he is as a person. Because to this day, I still don't even know who he is. I know very little about him. And like I said, y'all need to be asking, how did he end up moving in the house with my children? He was in a whole nother relationship for 10 years. She found his location. She pulled up. Trish let her in. The girl said, you got to go. The following week, he was in the house. Nobody told me. I kept seeing the car here. My son's like, well, I don't know. He's been here. Somebody's been here. Then I asked Trish. She says, oh, well, he's been here paying bills. And then next thing you know, he's living there. And I don't know this man who we've already had words. And you're living with my daughter who I don't know nothing about. And nobody's ever telling me. So what do y'all expect me to do as a man? Yes, I'm emotional. Yes, I'm crying.
Wait a minute. So he was in a relationship for 10 years. So he was cheating too, mind you. Allegedly. Trish goes over to the girl's house. I'm assuming to say, that's my man too. They get into it. She tell him he gotta go. So he moves over there with Trisha. And I'm guessing it must have been a situation where Trisha was like, I'm tired of waiting on you. I already got my situation handled. My man ain't here no more. So what's taking you so long? It's given very much. He was still pussyfooting around. So she said, okay, I'm going to break this up for you. Girl said he had to go. He moves in, and she doesn't even tell Marquez that she'd move this man in around their children, which is trifling. It's really trifling. And I agree with him. I don't care if it's a little girl or a little boy. You don't bring nobody up in this house that I don't know, that my children don't know, you don't know, like that. Like anything could happen. Anything. So if that is how it went down, then shame on her.
Yes, I'm doing all of this because I only got two options, and one of them's not good.
Right.
And I'm getting emotional now because I want people to understand, like, it's not about Trish and Ken, okay? It's about how things happen. I'm trying not to dwell on the past, but ideally, I would love for this situation to be where we're not talking about this. We're taking trips and everybody's happy, and I can have my family. I can start a whole new family. I would love to have more children. I would love to have a woman by my side that I can cater and do all the things that I learned that I wasn't doing, and be the man that because I'm telling you, whoever catches me right now, I promise you, it's gonna be a win for all of us involved. Because I'm going to do those. Huh? No, I'm not. But I'm open and I'm willing and I'm ready. And I got a lot of qualities and I know what I bring to the table. But I'm not going to settle. And I don't know if God has been holding me back because of this divorce, because I've always wondered, like, what is going on? Tristan jumped in a whole relationship and I'm out here trying to be, I'm not out here being in Atlanta being, oh no, I didn't come to Atlanta to mess with females. I'm also want to be clear, I'm a heterosexual male, so I have no problem being in Atlanta around that culture, right? They think I went to Atlanta to do all this. No, I went to Atlanta because it was an opportunity and I love Black people and it was close to my family. But yes, I'm single, and I'm ready now more than ever.
So my last question, and probably my last two, is at any point in that last 5 years, did you and Trisha think about, or were you thinking about getting back together?
It's not 5 years, guys.
Okay.
It's not 5 years. Right now it's current, if you want to talk about marriage. But we talking about separation, it'll be 4 years in October, okay? 4 years in October, it's not 5 years. And I don't know how much I've been watching. I don't know how much these difference, but the timelines do matter. So it's 4 years. But ask the question again. I'm sorry, I lost track of thought.
I'm saying during that 4 year period when you all were separated and you were upstairs, and during your divorce took a long time, right? So everybody in the world, well, I'm thinking in my mind that at some point y'all had hope that it may work, that y'all might get back together. During that 4 years, was there ever a period of time that you guys thought about, or you could thought about getting back with Trish?
Those 9 months in that year that I was in the house, everything was trying to figure out how to work towards saving the family. But then when this Ken situation came and it became a toxic, traumatic situation, it shut my mind off from being able to effectively communicate because I was so consumed with the altercation and how she reacted to it and how she treated me as if I wasn't with her whole entire life. And you just met this man. So like we never really got a chance to talk about it. And then when I did bring it up, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, let's get it done." I mean, I'm the one who drafted up the divorce papers to get her to sign it. But Trish, I can't honestly say there was anything holding me back other than that first year and a half where I thought maybe there was a chance. Now, outside of that, those last, I think was because of what was going on, that it was like we didn't even really talk about it. And it was more or less like, I guess at some point, we'll get it done. But I definitely had conversations with her about it on several occasions. And for her, it was just like I said, pulling teeth. All right, we'll work on it. We'll talk about it, and never would get anywhere.
Wow.
Well, look, listen, I'm glad you came on. I hope you feel like you got everything off your chest and you were able to explain yourself, because that's the purpose of you being here. And look, I'm going to say this, you're not going to follow it just yet, but I would love for you not to read comments on people talking about you, because that can take a toll on your mental health, and that can take a toll on your confidence. And I don't want that for you.
Dr. Emily, I ain't going to lie, you had me over here almost in tears, man.
You know what?
Hey, but look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this. Had you been correct and had the storyline be real and true, you would have been absolutely correct in everything you said. But man, when you said that I need to be asking permission to see my kids, you said Ken was a better man than
Hold on. Did you not? I had your back. So did you not?
I didn't say you. We talking about Dr.
No, I'm just saying. No. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because you've been a little tough with me. I get a thank you for that? I had your back.
But I want to say this because I say this because I respect Dr. Hamley and I understand the platform and where we are, and I understand that you're looking at it from a lens of someone who's watching this TV show because you don't know me. So I don't take it personally. But I did feel like when you felt like you didn't want to extend me any grace, and I felt like I just felt like it just hurt because it's like as a man, like, and then they see me crying, it's like, dang, you over here and you're trying to be like, open and honest and accountable, and then they think that you just really are not shit. Like hey, sorry, brother Tucker. I'm a sorry, brother Tucker.
Yeah.
But I understand it though. And I just hope that, like I said at the beginning of this interview, I hope that what I've been able to tell you, that you would be able to extend that grace to me now.
Absolutely. And you know what? Straight up, I apologize to you. But I can't help what I saw on TV.
I ain't mad.
People have and you know what? Trish be looking like she be telling the truth, but you could tell she be confused. And I've learned from a long time ago, Phaedra Parks, when you confused and you know what I mean? The people, they don't be telling the truth. But I can sit here and see that my whole image of you, brother, has been changed. And that's why we did it. At first, I thought it was kind of messy. But then I think, you know what? Nah, we need to hear from Marquez, because there's always three sides to every story.
I believe you expressing yourself and telling your side is way more important than anything, because it's like what Heavenly said. This is a triangle situation, and we heard from the other two.
Square.
And I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to express yourself, and that's the reason why you are still filming on the show. Thank you.
I was with Melody last night. Shout out to Melody Cherie. Ooh, ooh. Oh, sorry.
I'm just saying, in what capacity? Because the people that, when you say shit like that, people gonna run with it.
Am I
Huh? In what capacity were you with Melody?
I went to Mimosas with Melody event. I went to support.
Okay, thank you. Don't say you was with Melody.
It's okay. It's okay. All they're gonna say is Carlos' fault, and they're gonna blame Edit. So the thing is, I appreciate you for doing this. And listen, my hope for you is, at the end of the day, Marquez, this is my hope for you. And this is from one Black man speaking to another. I would love if you can look at the things you may have contributed to situations, okay? And take some accountability for what you contributed to some situations, not all, but some. And the best people in the world, Marquez, who do reality, they look at themselves on TV and say, okay, I could have done that differently. Or, I could have handled that differently. Or I didn't know people felt that way. So now that I know, let me do better. That is my supreme hope for you and for everybody on my shows, is to always look at these situations, Marquez, and say, let me look within to see how I can be a better person based on what I've been seeing, right? And I think because you are somebody who's very well in tune with their feelings, I know that you're going to go places because you do have that quality.
Absolutely. I think you're a great guy. But one thing I want to add to this, and Carlos, you tell me if you agree with this. Yes, he needs to look inside, but he also has to speak his piece. Because if you're just looking inside what you did wrong and not saying what the real situation is, which I haven't seen, I never heard any of this. You got to say that shit too, because everybody's going to say, oh, well, it is true what they're saying about you. You know what I'm saying? You also have to capitulate. Hey, you know what? I was there and I did this. And the reason I missed this was because y'all gave me the wrong damn time. You got to say that stuff, because the people don't know, and they going to run with the narrative, So my whole thing is, I think you're a stand-up brother. I appreciate.
I feel like I can breathe now. That was a lot. I believe majority of what Marquez was saying. He basically gave me confirmation on a lot of stuff that I was feeling about Trisha and Ken. Carlos was in his fifis, honey, and it got really weird. Really weird. Y'all let me know what y'all thought about this down below in the comment section. I can't wait to hear what y'all got to say, because, baby, this thing gave me anxiety. I'm about to go take my sertraline and lay down, because this was a lot for me, okay? I can't wait to hear what y'all got to say down below in the comment section. Please make sure to thumbs up this video. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, turn on your post notifications. Love and Marriage Huntsville will officially be returning this weekend, so get ready for more reviews. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next video, child. Bye.